And hello everybody, welcome back to today's, welcome back to the channel guys. Today of course, we're doing the Europa League quarter-final draw live stream, obviously waiting for it to start. It does start in around 12 or 13 minutes time, and as stated, ahead of that, we'll discuss all of the sort of latest, talk about the teams that left in the draw and that kind of stuff. But if you are just joining us guys or watching on a replay, hit the like button and of course hit the subscribe button for daily Liverpool content. If you are a neutral or you're a fan not of Liverpool, you're always more than welcome to join us as we are looking at the draw for the Europa League. So let's have a little look at the knockout stages as things stand. Of course, the teams left and the teams that Liverpool could take on are Atalanta, Roma, Bayer Leverkusen, Marseille, Benfica, West Ham United and AC Milan. So of course the games were taking place yesterday. Of course Liverpool did beat Sparta Prague very comfortably 6-1 and 11-2 on aggregate. As stated, Brighton did beat Roma yesterday, however Roma won on aggregate, so they're the side that went through. Bayer Leverkusen scored very late, two very late goals to see them go through into the quarterfinals. And of course Alonso, that link, potentially the next Liverpool manager as well. Could that be a tasty affair? And then, of course, Atalanta beating Sporting Lisbon. West Ham, of course, coming back as they beat Freiburg. And then, of course, Marseille beating Villarreal, with AC Milan beating Slavia Prague, then Benfica beating Rangers. So, yeah, quite an extensive teams that are in the mix, of course, and let's just use this time to go through. But guys, let me know down in the live chat who you want to face. I know there's a lot of people thinking, well, I don't care who we take on. Liverpool probably are the favourites, but just let me know who you want down there in the live chat, please. Let's try and get some interaction here. Quite a few people joining us this morning as well, which is very good to see. But yeah, as stated, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let me know who you want down there in the comment section below. But let's go for each team one by one. We've got about 10 minutes to kill until then. So Benfica is the first side, of course. Now, Benfica, a very interesting team. Of course, they beat Glasgow Rangers last night at Ibrox. A side that have struggled recently. They have struggled recently in not necessarily Europe, but domestically. They've just come off the back. They have just beaten Rangers, and then did beat Estoril at the weekend. But prior to that, they drew to Rangers at their stadium and, of course, lost to FC Porto 5-0. They had lost to Sporting Lisbon in the first leg of the Portuguese Cup. And the manager, Roger Schmidt, is under a lot of pressure at this moment in time. Now, Roger Schmidt, of course, did win the title for Benfica last season. He's a manager that's doing well and all looks fairly well if you actually look at the Portuguese Premier League at this moment in time. They do currently sit second in the table, albeit Sporting Lisbon have played a game less than them, but they only are 1 point off at the top of the table. However, as stated, Benfica fans aren't happy with Roger Schmidt at this moment in time. And actually, if I looked at Rangers and I looked at Benfica, watched both of those legs, Benfica look very ordinary. So I'm sorry to disrespect any Benfica fans in here, but I don't think Benfica, of how the past was, or over the Champions League meetings that Liverpool have had with them, they're not that sort of outfit this time around and do look very fragile. They looked fragile against Toulouse, they looked very fragile against Rangers, and if it weren't for one goal there, I think Rangers were actually very unlucky not to go on and beat Benfica in that match. So Benfica is a side that I would say are struggling at this moment in time, and that would be a very decent draw in Lisbon. Although, having said that, they can switch it on. They have got a lot of quality. Neves, of course, being linked to the £100 million move to Manchester United. There's still Angel Di Maria, who's been fantastic. Got Rafa Silva, who's been fantastic so far this season. So Benfica are one of those potential candidates. And as stated, they are going for a bit of a blip at this moment in time. The next side, of course, is AC Milan. Now, AC Milan, a side that You did win the Serie A few years back. Following that, they didn't really do well last season. I mean, they got themselves obviously into the Champions League. This season, they do sit second in the Serie A. They're not doing too shabby. However, are miles behind Inter Milan in terms of the title race at this moment in time, and probably don't stand a chance of winning the Scudetto this time around. Inter, their arch rivals, of course, are way ahead. They're 16 points clear of second place AC Milan. Now, AC Milan, of course, Slavia Prague. Again, Slavia Prague probably one of the easier ties to have got. We've seen what happened with Sparta. Not that much of a challenge. However, AC Milan look like they are coming into a bit of a groove. Of course, did beat Slavia twice, very convincingly. Before that, beat Empoli. Did beat Lazio. Drew to Atalanta. And you'd have to go all the way back. Obviously, they did lose one of their Europa League matches against Runs, but on aggregate, they did win. You'd have to go all the way back to February since they last lost. Obviously, had beat Napoli in that time, had beat Froswan as well, beat Udinese, beat Roma. So they are a side that are looking fairly good and probably be one of the sides to avoid if you're looking at the knockout stage at this moment in time. But AC Milan, Liverpool always poises up and determines a really, really good draw. So AC Milan aside there as well. Next up is Marseille. Now Marseille, of course, did beat Villarreal fairly well. They beat them very comfortably in the first leg. The second leg, they made work of it. Of course, Villarreal actually did win the second leg, but Marseille did enough to win the tie. Marseille are currently struggling this season. Now, the outlet has been the Europa League. They've looked quite good with Aubameyang getting the doing very well and also picking up personal accolades as the the goal scorer, with the all-time top goal scorer in the Europa League. However, domestically at this moment in time, we know Paris Saint-Germain don't dominate that league, but you would think Marseille's, Lyon's, would they be there or thereabouts in terms of the Champions League spots. However, Marseille currently sitting 7th at this moment in time. However, having said that, form has picked up for them primarily as we've gone into the new year. But as stated, they don't look an awful lot great at this moment in time and are currently struggling in Ligue 1 so far this season. However, in the Europa League, that's where they've been shining. Next up, of course, is West Ham. Now, West Ham are carrying on there. Obviously, the Europa Conference League winners overturn against Freiburg. And for the English supporters, Premier League fans, and if you're a fan of Liverpool, you'll know about the Premier League, of course. But West Ham struggling. A bit of patchy form so far this season. Again, their pro outlet has been the Europa Conference League last year, where they actually went on to win it. In Europe, they've had really good success, getting quite far into competitions. I think semi-final was back in 2022. Obviously went on to win the Conference League in 2023, and then of course have got themselves into the quarter-final of the Europa League this year. In the Premier League, your West Ham fans will probably make out that they're in free fall at this moment in time, just due to them wanting Moyes out. But actually, if you look at the Premier League table, they do currently sit 7th in the table, 4 points behind 6th place Manchester United, of course a point ahead of Brighton, but comfortably, in that mix for the Conference League space once again. And certainly in Europe, they can show themselves. Liverpool so far this season haven't had any problems against West Ham, and a side that I wouldn't mind facing at this stage in the Europa League. Next side is Atalanta, of course, a side that are in the Italian Serie A. Did beat Sporting Lisbon, as we were touching upon the Benfica diagnosis. Sporting Lisbon currently lead the title race at this moment in time. They're doing very, very well in the Premier League, looking to try and win their third title, I think, in the 21st century. Obviously, proposing to be a thorn in the sides of both the duopoly that was Benfica and FC Porto. Of course, manager being linked, Ruben Amorim being linked with a vacant Liverpool job as well. Atalanta there have gone on to beat that Sporting Lisbon side, who are a very good team. Atalanta currently sits 6th in the table and in the Serie A, and again, a bit like Marseille. They're not really doing very well domestically, however, have of course had a decent outlet within European competition. Their last game in the Serie A was a 2-2 draw to Juventus on Sunday night. Prior to that, they had lost to Bologna. Prior to that, they lost 4-0 to Inter Milan. Prior to that, they drew 1-1 with AC Milan. You have to go all the way back to the 18th of February when they last had their last domestic win. That was against Sassuolo. So they do sit sixth in the table, but certainly a side that I wouldn't be fearing at this moment in time. Next up is Bayer Leverkusen. Now, of course, this one, you would have been heard a lot about Bayer Leverkusen so far this season. Look, Xabi Alonso, former Reds midfielder, Xabi Alonso, currently top of the Bundesliga, running away with it. I think Bayer Leverkusen are currently 10 points clear at the top of the Bundesliga. Haven't lost a game so far this season, and it does look like with 9 games to go that Xabi Alonso will be delivering that first title to Leverkusen for them. Whilst they've been absolutely amazing domestically, I can't fault them. And to be fair to them, they've been fairly good in the Europa League. But this tie across the 2 legs against Qarabag have kind of proved very, very difficult for Bayer Leverkusen. So in the first leg, they drew the match 2-2. Qarabag were 2-0 up in Azerbaijan, and it came for 2 late goals for Leverkusen to bring back the tie level. Now, going into the home leg, everyone probably thought the same thing, but it was because it was in Azerbaijan, an 8-hour flight to go there, horrible hot conditions. However, upon their home leg, again, Qarabag found themselves 2-0 up again on the night, and they were actually 4-2 on aggregate before on the 70th minute with 20 minutes to go. Bayer Leverkusen switched it on. Frimpong managed to get a goal back. And it got to the 92nd minute, and it did look like Bayer Leverkusen were going out before Schick managed to get 2 late stoppage time goals that seen Bayer Leverkusen through. So Bayer Leverkusen certainly showing a bit of weakness, I suppose, within the Europa League over the 2 ties against Qarabag. However, domestically have been an absolute juggernaut. And to be fair, if we're looking at Xabi Alonso, he's sort of possessing those credibilities or credentials that Liverpool have shown this season with regards to us always coming back from stuff. And finally, guys, the last team is AS Roma. Now, AS Roma, of course, you would have heard the news that, of course, Jose Mourinho was sacked by them. Were sitting in 9th, I think, when the Portuguese got sacked. So far this season domestically are looking a lot better now under the new manager De Rossi. Pumped Brighton. We know in the Premier League that Brighton are a pretty good side, but Roma washed them 4-0 in that first leg. Of course, lost the second leg at the Amex 1-0, but it wasn't really a problem. Domestically now they are pushing towards those Champions League spaces, and we'll have to compete with Bologna. Do so at 3 points behind 4th place. Are a side that did get to the Europa League final last year, but did narrowly miss out on penalties as they were defeated, of course, by Sevilla. So again, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are the sides and a little bit of information with regards to all of them. And on that one, who would you like to see the Reds get in this next round of the competition? For me, again, I actually don't fear any side at all. In the Champions League, you look at the Champions League, there's always sides that you want to avoid. But for Liverpool, I don't think there's any teams that Liverpool would need to avoid at this moment in time. Some part of me goes to say, do we just get the Leverkusen job out of the way? But I'd rather that be the final, just because it's going to take a lot about us in the Premier League. English tie, a lot will be made out of in the media, so I'd rather avoid them. But just after seeing Benfica last night, and in the leg before that, I would definitely say Benfica would be the side. They're struggling with confidence at this moment in time, and I think Liverpool would be able to get the job done against them fairly comfortably after the 2 games that I watched them play against Rangers. So, yeah, I would say Benfica would be my choice. The one to avoid would be Bayer Leverkusen, just because there'll be so much media coverage for it, so much to build up. Xabi Alonso, potential successor, all that sort of stuff I want to save for later. I don't want to see that. And then, of course, West Ham. It's not about West Ham's quality as such. I do rate West Ham, and I do think they have good players. I do rate David Moyes actually a lot. But it's just, when English teams face each other off in Europe, it's just such a circus in terms of the media, upping it all week, all month. And I'd rather just avoid that, go under the radar and just keep pursuing this sort of quadruple. But yeah, guys, we are about to get ready for the draw, of course. At the start, they do wheel out the old legends. They talk about stuff that's fairly irrelevant, to be perfectly honest with you. But we'll find out with the draw probably within the next sort of 5 minutes. But as stated, guys, let's have some conversation. Let's see what everybody wants down there in the live chat. If you haven't already, guys, hit the old like button and subscribe. Let's have a little look at who is in here. Top of the hour. Go ahead, Liverpool. We are rooting for you. Jurgen says Liverpool versus Leverkusen. Any team will do. Walker Lane says MPW. Super Pumped says just give us the trophy now. LFC fan says Liverpool versus West Ham. Jen LFC, big up, says she says big up. Thank you for tuning in. Blair says Liverpool win. Cat Frost says Leverkusen. Dean Hayes wants West Ham. Peel Hatch wants a Leverkusen final. Yeah. Outline Ken says I called it months ago. It's going to be a West Ham versus Liverpool quarter final. Quite Outline Ken, when is the draw? The draw is about to start imminently. We're just waiting for the balls to get started and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll be ready to go. Liverpool win the league, says Luso. Any team is good. Brendan says doesn't matter who we get. Good money. Every side wants to avoid us. Quadruple cup this year. Mark my words. Colleen de Delaney says anyone. Alroy says I feel it. Bassi says Liverpool and Benfica. David O'Carroll says any team. Liverpool versus Milan in Dublin. Ian says Porto will do. Porto are out, mate, unfortunately. Roland says don't mind any team. Happy days. I give it a breast my talking there, reading out the comments. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Benfica. Everyone's Benfica. I think Benfica will be a good tie. And to be fair, we always use Benfica or the Portuguese team to scout our next target. We're always shopping in that Portuguese market. Remember last time someone played well against us as a Portuguese side, we went up and sign it. That, of course, Darwin Núñez. Prior to that, Luis Diaz. So, let's see the next one. Yeah, I wouldn't mind a Portuguese team for sure. But yeah, we're ready to go, guys, it looks like. And here we go. Find out who it is. Piero. So hopefully they're not wheeling out an old legend, man. That's why I don't like these shows, to be fair. He's just giving us a little coverage. He's talking about, of course, everything until this starts. I will let you know. Whilst we're waiting for that, guys, I just felt that we should go through the Champions League draw. I know we're not in there this year, but we do have, of course, interest in that. I think Arsenal fans have been piping up on social media talking about where's Liverpool in the draw. It's like, where the heck where's your Champions League trophy? But yeah, quarterfinals for the Champions League, by the way, are as follows. PSG versus Barcelona. Atletico Madrid versus Dortmund. Arsenal have got Bayern. Real Madrid have got City. That's perfect because there's so many English fans. You hear the English pundits. I think they're trying to brainwash you with this crap, but say they want English teams to win. I don't want any English team to ever win the Champions League. No way. Apart from Liverpool, I would never want Arsenal or Man City win the Champions League. You're mental. If I had to pick a team out of here, I'd probably go Bayern. I'd want Bayern to win the Champions League. Funnily enough, just because of Harry Kane, I actually do like Harry Kane. But following this, guys, Arsenal and Manchester City's route is probably the hardest. If the winners out of Arsenal and Bayern will take on Real Madrid and Man City, the winners of Atletico Madrid and Dortmund will take on PSG and Barcelona. I'm hoping for a Harry Kane masterclass at the Emirates. That'd be absolutely fantastic. And then I'm hoping for a Jude Bellingham trouncing of Manchester City. But that's going to be a very, very good game. Madrid versus City. I think that game will pose well for us in this title race. And the fact that Arsenal have got Bayern as well, I think will pose well for us in the title race. That's why I just want to keep our head down in this Europa League and just not get media coverage because they're going to be bigging up these ties. That's a big tie. Bayern v Arsenal is huge. Man City versus Real Madrid is absolutely mammoth. It's a mammoth tie. So maybe one eye is going to be taken away. I think they're the best possible draws for us, honestly. In terms of the title race, I actually do think they're pretty good for us. Don't mind any team, says Roland. Any team, Liverpool will never walk alone. We have to beat anyone, bring them on, says Steve Bell. Roland says tired of Portuguese opposition. Milan or Leverkusen will be great. We should continue our form intact. Villa versus Liverpool would be a dab. Gooners have a great chance against Bayern. Kane is a problem though. I don't think, City versus Real Madrid will be a nail biter, but I can't see Arsenal progressing to the final out. If they've got to go against Arsenal versus then Bayern, then against City or Real Madrid, I can't see them winning it. My only problem is I just don't want City to win it. I really don't want City to win it either. That's what I'm just on. I want Bayern to do it. If not, then Real Madrid's fine, or Atletico or Dortmund or something like that. But I don't pray. These English pundits saying they want English teams to win the champ. Fuck off. No, they don't. No one. If you support an English team, you don't want any English team to win the Champions League. You're mental. I hate all that crap. Wanting English teams to win it. No way. Couldn't think of anything worse than any English teams to win it. No English teams to win the Champions League. No way. Not whilst Liverpool are out of it anyway. No way. Just guys, we're waiting. We're just simply waiting at this moment in time. They're still talking. They've wheeled out Llorente, as they do with these sort of Europa League draws and stuff. They wheel out a legend, a guy that's seen it and done it, and they talk to them about their retirement and their time, their impact that they had in the competition. Then also talk about the time, of course, or who the games or what ties they've liked already, and then eventually they'll start pulling the balls out. Joe says how long until the draw? I would say they would start it in around 5 minutes time. They're just talking to Llorente at this moment in time, but as soon as he's been wheeled out and he's gave his life story, we can get underway. But guys, if you haven't already hit the like button, please do, and subscribe. Battle Drunk says support the English team. What's wrong with you? Mate, no. You're mental. I don't get it, mate. I'm sorry. Nah. If you support an English team, you don't support other English teams to win the Champions League. No chance. Why would you want that? Why would you want Man City getting 2 Champions League when Liverpool are in 6? I'm sorry, I'm not coming across as a weird guy there. I'd never want an English team to win the Champions League if Liverpool aren't in it. No way. I'll take any foreign team to win the Champions League, 1,000%. If Liverpool aren't in it, of course. Yeah. City or Arsenal winning that, you're mental. Man City and Arsenal. Yeah, I'm going to support Man City and Arsenal win the Champions. Shut up. I think it'd be a thing of mentality between Arsenal and Munich. Are these good this season? I think Munich will show up. They've got nothing to lose, and I think Tuchel's got to. He won the Champions League with Chelsea. He got to the final with PSG. I think he's quite good at navigating the Champions League. Anyway, guys, we're ready to start now. Here it goes. First ball is out of the hat from Llorente. Is as follows. Is AC Milan. First name out of the hat is AC Milan. AC Milan is the first one, troops. Thank you, Toon Dreams. Right, AC Milan are going to go up against... Here we go. AC Milan. Oh, I wouldn't mind Liverpool taking on AC Milan, you know. Oh, Roma. An Italian quarter-final. Ooh, Milan versus Roma. Ooh, that's a nice one. That's a tasty draw for the Italian fans, that one. All Italian. Next one. There we go. So AC Milan versus Roma is the first tie, troops. Liverpool are the next name out the hat. Liverpool are going to be up against... Battle Drunks has always support the English sides if Liverpool out. I mean, that's it. If that's up to you, my man. That's cool for you, bro. I don't, man. I go against anyone who's not an English team. I support the foreign side. Atalanta. Liverpool got Atalanta. I mean, it's a good draw. It's an easy draw, but it's not an interesting one for us, is it? It's a bit of a naff draw, to be honest. It's not one that's going to get us psyched up for a bit. It's Liverpool versus Atalanta, guys. Liverpool versus Atalanta. I think that's an easy one, genuinely. Liverpool versus Atalanta. Bayer Leverkusen. I'm hoping Bayer Leverkusen. I love Xavi. I love Alonso, but I want Bayer Leverkusen to get out because they're probably the biggest test for Liverpool, to be perfectly honest. especially in a one-off game. So Bayer Leverkusen are the next team out of the hat. Ooh. Bayer Leverkusen versus West Ham. Oh, that's a tasty tie. Oi, that is a tasty tie. Bayer Leverkusen versus West Ham United. West Ham. Oi, that's a good tie, that, by the way. Here we go. Next team is... Oh, we already know the outcome. So, Benfica versus Marseille. Benfica versus Marseille. Ooh. So, there you go. That is the quarterfinals as such. AC Milan versus Roma. Liverpool versus Atalanta. Bayer Leverkusen versus West Ham United. And then, of course... Benfica versus Marseille. So some nice, probably the best draw Liverpool probably could have hoped for in terms of, I think we can beat, well, we definitely beat Atalanta, no problem. But it's one of those ones where we can go under the radar. Look at the other sides in the title race. The Premier League teams, you've got Liverpool, you've got Arsenal versus Bayern. A lot is going to be going into those two-legged ties. Real Madrid versus Man City, and we got Atalanta, so we're going under the radar. Also, by the way, so the winners, we're going to find out the route to Dublin now as well. So we'll find out who will take on the semi-final should we beat Atalanta. And this is what the route to the final looks like. So it's almost the bracket, if you like. So the winners of... So we'll find out now quickly. 2 seconds. So... So to the route to the final, Benfica. Oh mate, it's the best. It's the best scenario. Best scenario for Liverpool. So Benfica or Marseille versus Liverpool or Atalanta. Liverpool and Atalanta versus Benfica, Marseille in the final, in the semi-final, and that's our route to the final. So we're avoiding Bayer Leverkusen, we're avoiding West Ham, we've got a very quiet way to the final, guys. A very, very quiet way to the final, which we'll see the other sides, running it ragged in there. So, Roma and AC Milan will be up against either West Ham or Bayer Leverkusen. So I think we've got the perfect run to the final. I really do. It's not a bad draw at all. We can keep under the radar. The English sides in the Champions League have got huge mammoth ties that I think are going to keep their minds focused in the Champions League. I think it's worked out perfect for Liverpool in my personal opinion. But enough about that, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the draw down in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe